Electronic Arts, also known as EA, is a game company I'm sure you all look at with distaste, but it was not always like that not long ago. EA stood with the very best in the gaming community, and we're looked at the same way that we look at video game companies like Valve of today. I know it seems hard to believe, but EA was once a humble studio who wished to produce beautiful games and share them with the world. So, what happened? Well, I'm going to get into all of that today, from most of its history, including from the very beginning, the money making scummy tactics they implemented, the legal trouble they've gotten themselves into, and a lot more. So, let's start, shall we? In 1982, William Hawkins, an ex Apple employee, had the vision to set up Electronic Arts. It was basically the idea that home computers would be the future of video gaming and no longer the typical arcade games that you found back in the day. They initially started off as adapting home software such as Apple computers and the Commodore 64, and the idea was simple for the studio. You treat your employees and developers right and allow them the creative freedom and unrestricted freedom to create art, and they will make you beautiful art in return and a boatload of money. But due to some developers not meeting deadlines and some poorly finished projects, EA switches to in-house development by 1987. And by 1991, EA Sports becomes established. Now, they immediately begin to throw cash at exclusive licensing that will eventually become the backbone and cash cow for what EA is today. I'm talking about major football/soccer leagues, including huge names like the Champions League, the Premier League, and the NFL as well. So, EA releases yearly games and roll in the money due to being the only game on the market that can scratch that itch for having certain IPs in your soccer games. And as much as they're making money off of this, they're also stained their name slightly by killing off any competition by acquiring these exclusive rights. But this is only a drop in the bucket compared to what they do in the future. But first, if you made it this far in the video, thank you. Secondly, only a very tiny percentage of my viewers are actually subscribed, and it would mean a great deal if you could like and subscribe, as it not only helps encourage me to continue making videos like this, but it also helps me in the algorithm to potentially become successful enough where I can pump out more videos more often. So anyways, sorry for the interruption, and where were we? Eventually, Hawkins does leave the company and is replaced by Scrooge McDuck. Wait 1 second. I did have the notes. Oh, my apologies. Larry Probst. Probst? I'm just gonna say Larry Probst. Larry Probst is a businessman, a good one at that, at the time, anyways. But just like insurance agents, somehow, some way, they're looking for a way to milk every single penny from you. So what does Larry start to do? Simple. Buy every single promising studio he can get his hands on. To name a few, we have Maxis Studios, Origin Studios, Bullfrog Productions, and the most notable of all, Westwood Studios, creators of the Command and Conquer series, a game that had a chokehold on the RTS market. But they were not done yet. Seeing competitors like Pro Evolution Soccer still competing with them against their game FIFA, they decided that they're not risking a competitor to one of their biggest grossing sports games. They signed an exclusive deal with the NFL, making the NFL all of its assets, including team name, jerseys, the NFL league as a whole, even down to the player names, all exclusive rights to EA. This deal right there kills off any competition that could have arisen from the NFL, and that's considered one of the first cracks in EA's good boy luck. Oh, and those companies I mentioned earlier, by the way, they were all shut down by the mid-2000s, except Maxis Studio, the creator of The Sims. They got to see until 2015. But it does not stop there. They buy BioWare and Pandemic. Pandemic died fairly quickly after being bought as well, but BioWare's still around. I wouldn't really call this around, but good on you for making it to 2026. So, EA is pumping out some pretty good games, and their yearly releases are also looking pretty good, but there's always a way to make more money. So Peter Moore, the guy in charge of EA Sports Division at the time, calls a meeting where they sit around in a boardroom and brainstorm. Peter says, projections are good, and we've been pumping out some new games, and the same slop year after year. We're making good money, but I need more. Any ideas? Well, we just released Dead Space, Battlefield Bad Company, Command and Conquer, and people seem happy with that. Do we need more? Any other ideas? We could make another Sims game? Okay, that was not as bad as I thought it would go, and people seem pretty happy with it, but it wasn't really the bang I wanted. Anyone else? Andrew? We could charge people in a game they already bought. Charge people in a game they already bought, but that's not a permanent solution. FIFA, yearly release game. We can do in-store purchases there. How? Everything's already unlocked. Then we simply create a new mode where everything is locked. Create a team. That's what we'll call it. We will let the players create a team of their own dreams, but make progression nearly impossible unless they spend money. So we put a price tag on their favorite player and force them to buy them. No. They open packs and gamble for them with ridiculously stupid odds. Andrew, you're a genius. Let's call it Ultimate Team though. Keep up the great ideas, and I honestly see you being quite the person at this company. And thus, in FIFA 2009, the Ultimate Team was born into the world, and the consequences that followed were not only in every single EA Sports game, but almost any game that could fit packs or loot boxes into that market. And why was it so successful? Simple, it was pay to win. Why work for something when you can buy the advantage? You know, perhaps I'm being a little too harsh on EA. They simply taught us how the real world works at such a young age. Anyways, it got to the point where entire countries began to sue them for promoting child gambling, with even major countries such as Belgium straight up banning EA for its FIFA points, which is against their anti-gambling laws. 2013 rolls around and EA is making $1 billion a year. Or maybe a little bit more than that. And they're still losing money. Not good at all. So the shareholders make a decision to bring in someone who will do the opposite of that. Probst is appointed executive chairman, and Andrew Wilson is appointed as the new CEO of the company, the same Andrew who came up with the Ultimate Team idea. And Andrew Wilson gets straight to work, going from barely being able to break even to making billions of dollars of profit each year. In the next few years, there's a couple of games that come out from EA directly, and I want you to guess what's wrong or right with them. I'm going to list them off. And all of these games have come out from 2013 onwards, after Andrew Wilson stepped in. Star Wars Battlefront series, Plants vs. Zombies 2, NCAA 2014, Plants vs. Zombies Heroes, Battlefield 5, Apex Legends, Titanfall 2, all of the sports games like FIFA, NFL, Chell, all of those things, and Peggle Blast. It's a big list, and I'm sure many of you can guess what all of these games have in common besides the fact that they were created and produced by EA. Well, EA has a huge issue when it comes to releasing video games, especially after the 2010s. They either cut the plug too early, or they never return to the franchise, overprice the hell out of it by hiding key components behind their paywalls that others can just buy a strategic advantage to by spending real-life money, or they just spit on their fans' faces. So let me show you a Venn diagram really quickly. Now, as all of you can see, not a single game is in the beloved by the community category. And a lot of games are in the expensive DLC, pissed off community, and gave up on categories. I tried picking games from all different types of genres, not to be too biased, and make it as fair as possible. But I think no matter what, the point is being delivered here. Now, I could go into what happened in detail for each game, but I know the Peggle Blast alone would be like 3 hours long, and I'm not really willing to take a deep dive into that today. But in all seriousness though, you can tell exactly what happened by which game was placed in which category. Now, I'm sure there's at least one person going, but Moongate, you're just nitpicking games to fit your agenda. To which I'd respond, you'd have to be extremely nitpicking games yourself not to fit this agenda. For every one game with no issues EA makes, they'll make 20 shitty games and a sequel that will ruin the first game's actual branding, memory, the franchise as a whole. And remember, I didn't even bring up major hitters like Battlefield 2042, Mass Effect Andromeda, Anthem, Super Mega Baseball 4, or Plants vs. Zombies Replanted. But I do want to talk about one game in particular. One game that absolutely deserves to be spoken about because I personally was incredibly excited to play it. And it's a more modern game as well. Like Anthem is it's a bit too easy of a cherry pick. Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Also a pretty easy cherry pick, but let me get there. This game upset me the same way as Last of Us 2's ending pissed me off. Not quite the same, but that's because I actually finished the full game for Last of Us 2 just to get kicked in the face like that. Dragon Age: The Veilguard didn't even get 10 hours out of me. And I know what you may be thinking if you're unfamiliar with this game. Mooncake, you have to play the full game to truly give an opinion. And to that, I'd say, I rather crap in my hands and clap than play the full game. So let's start with what made this game absolutely horrible for me. This game is supposed to be a gritty fantasy world. That's what Dragon Age is about. You're role playing in a world where there is no fun, just moments of rest with companions in a otherwise cruel world looking to kill you any way it can. The game feels like it's being forced to be a fun time to appeal to all audiences type of game. Half the dialogue is not only horrible, but it feels like it's written by AI, and the parts that weren't written by AI somehow feel worse. But perhaps we probably should have seen this coming after they just finished releasing Mass Effect Andromeda. The writing is just missing that oomph that I don't know if it's simply the writers being complete idiots to what type of game they're writing for, or someone above them at EA telling them that the game can't be too dark or gritty and needs to be politically correct to appease the shareholders. It looks like a hero shooter, half the dialogue feels like a hero shooter, and the roleplay aspects of the game feel so limited. When everyone is constantly reminding you of their character's great feats when you never did anything.
Mother, what are you doing here?
You used to call me Tama.
I also used to wet the bed. Want me to start that up again?
I'd rather you didn't. Because she's sleeping in my base, which means I own the bed. I'm actually next on laundry detail.
You're being told things your character did without having the opportunity yourself to experience it. That should be fine once or twice, but it feels like it's forced constantly. Like it's a constant reminder because they know that you genuinely would not care about the story. You don't care about the people there, you don't care about the companions because it's also forced. Like as a player, I want to do those things. Or remind me, give me the opportunity to play through these stories that they keep on reminding me through. Something that Fallout, especially back in the day with New Vegas and their older titles, nailed with NPC dialogues. It's just a mess that would need its own 30-minute video to really dissect. And I simply don't want to do that because I'm just going to make this EA video and never talk about this game again. But there is one clip I want to show you from a YouTuber who makes a very good point on the topic about how this game is clearly trying to appeal to the politically correct audiences.
You need subtlety and nuance, and having a character start doing push-ups because they misgendered someone is not subtle or nuanced. It's like you can feel the self-righteous wrath the writers fantasize about inflicting on people who commit such a heinous crime, such as misgendering someone. Having non-binary characters isn't a problem in and of itself. It's how you write them. How do you integrate them into the world? Do you make that their defining personality trait? When you beat people over the head like, hey, don't misgender others, that's what we're trying to say. What can we say about it?
EA has some major issues that everyone can see clearly, and I feel like this video doesn't even do it justice. They release unfinished games, constantly scrap projects that don't fit with line with their money-making schedule, and are constantly making new installment and franchises that absolutely shame the franchise as a whole. Half of it comes from simple money grabs, such as remakes or the use of popular IPs, and the other from being maybe politically correct or appeasing shareholders and broader audiences, which obviously is for money. It's a shame too because you'll see some really cool IPs coming out that genuinely catch your attention right away, But as soon as you see that EA logo on the trailer, your stomach drops like, yeah, I'm not playing that game, or yep, that game's going to be a mess. And especially when it's a live service slop they release. It's always live service, an unfinished game, a completely different game from what was promised, or more times than not, all three combined. But anyways, thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate it if you did make it to the end, as that genuinely means a lot to me. It doesn't look like it, but I do put some effort into this, and your views, your interaction, your engagement, it does mean a lot to me. I really want to continue doing this, and I probably will until I run out of gas, whether I'm successful or not. So if you did enjoy my content and want more of this in the future, please leave a like, subscribe, comment, whatever there is to do, and check out my other videos, and let me know if I should stick to longer content or shorten it up. Alrighty, next time I see you guys will be whenever I post again. Adios, and thanks again for watching.